Today, I'm going to introduce you to a cut of beef you're probably not familiar with. It just so happens that it makes amazing fajitas. I love fajitas, so today we're doing fajitas two different ways. Let's get into it. What's up, barbecue fans? Welcome back to Patio. My name's Jake. You're watching Mama Cook. Today on the channel, we're doing fajitas. And let me tell you, I love fajitas. I do these several times a month, and I just can't get enough of them. Now, there are several different ways to do them. And for me, I either have the vision to plan ahead and I marinate the night before, or I come home and I'm like, man, I want some fajitas. So no matter which situation you're in, today I've got you covered. First, we got to fire up our Yoder, turn this guy on, and we are gonna do this a little different. We're gonna put a little smoke into our fajitas. I have actually not done that before, but as I like to say, everything tastes better with smoke flavor. So we're gonna put this at 250. We're not gonna put a ton of smoke into it, but we are gonna let this roll, and we're gonna do a little bit of a reverse sear on our meat first. But let me show you how I've got our Yoder set up, because it's a little bit different. We're starting off, I've got my top rack in. We're gonna put our meat up here to get some smoky goodness. And then I've got my griddle over here, and then I have my grill grates. Now, quick note on the griddle. Right now, I have the diffuser door in place, and when we get closer, I'll pull it out and we'll start to heat that up a little bit more. Let's let this guy heat up and take a look at our meat. Close that guy up, let it come up to temperature. We're using some Bear Mountain oak pellets today. Now, about these fajitas. As I mentioned, there are sometimes I come home and I don't have time to let anything marinate. I just want some great tasting fajitas. So, Kettleman's Mexicana, absolutely delicious. Shake this on and let it sit for 15 minutes. You're gonna get some great fajita flavor. I use a lot. On occasion, I'll even add in some extra cumin if I want that extra kick, but it does have that in there. For the longest time, I actually use this fajita bath. This is a brine concentrate. I actually put it in straight. I don't even break it down. You can add water to this, and because it's concentrated, I actually just throw it straight in a container and marinate. Where you go. This one's called Trey Chilies, and I was a little bit nervous about this in the beginning because I don't like heat. I'm not a big heat guy, but it's not too bad. It's got a little bit of heat to it, but it's not over the top by any means. You've got some sour cream in your fajitas, so it offsets that. Now, they also have another one, fajita bath, but it's lime and jalapeno. Anytime I see jalapeno in the title, I get scared. And last summer what happened is I ordered a bunch of the normal one, and by mistake, they sent me the lime and jalapeno one. And I was like, I emailed them right away. I was like, whoa, just want to let you know I'm a big wimp. I'll send this back, but I need to get the other stuff. And they said, you know what? We'll send you some of the stuff you wanted, but try the jalapeno one because it's not that bad. And to be honest, I've tried it and I like them both. So it does have a little bit of heat, but it's not terrible. But it is good flavor. And I get these from @bbq.com. I will put a link down below, but highly recommend them if you're into fajitas. It's just a great way to get some flavor into your meat, and you can use either or. Now you can marinate these for anywhere from 15 minutes to overnight, however long you want to do. I like to do a minimum of 4 hours, but it's not uncommon for me to do overnight if I've got time and I actually planned ahead for a change. We wanted to talk about a piece of meat, and here this meat is. Now, traditionally, fajitas are made with skirt steak, flank steak, inside it, skirt or outside skirt if you can find it. But, it's that thin piece of meat that's got lots of marbling on it, and it's got lots of marbling through it. And bear with me, this one I defrosted this. I had a little pinhole in the bag, so I got some water in there, so the color is slightly off, but that's my fault. This is called flap steak. And I have a butcher who happens to make, they call them, not sirloin tips. I might call them sirloin tips, but they marinate and they cut them up. And one day I was like, can I get some of those? And he said, well, do you want a whole one or do you want to cut up? And I was like, well, what's a whole one look like? And he showed me, and it's a big piece of meat. Now, the reason why I like flap steak is look at how thick it is. It's very thick. Let me get this out of the package here so you can have a look at it. But it's a lot thicker. It's got the same type of marbling throughout it. Amazing flavor. And you get a little bit more bang for your buck because it's so thick, it'll go a little bit longer. So look, we still got some marbling throughout our meat here. right? Now remember, this is off color because I got some water in it, so don't judge it by that. But you can see the fibers are going this way, so you're gonna cut it along this way so you get it, so it's still tender, and they kind of slide around almost like a tri-tip, right? But we've got some good marbling here. Now the butcher already cleaned this up for me, so I'm gonna leave it how it is, right? So where does the flap steak come from? It comes from the same area as the flank steak, it's just further back. So you could go to any butcher, ask for a flap steak, and they will deliver. They'll hook you up, ask them to trim it up, and it'll be good. So for this one, what we're doing is we're using our Mexicano, and I apologize, we're at the perfect time of the day because it's so early in spring where the sun goes over the house very quickly and early. I realized you lost me halfway through the video. It disappeared. And with anything, make sure you give this a good shake, but you're gonna give this a pretty heavy coating. So we got a good heavy coating on there. Don't forget that end. Perfect. And since our yoder's just getting up to temperature, we'll just throw this guy on. So we'll put this guy over here. You know what? I'm going to change my mind here real quick. I'm going to put the thin part towards the right side, and I am going to bunch this up, try and encourage some even cooking. As we get closer to the stack, this is a hotter area, but I don't want to put it over top of my griddle because I don't want any meat juices dripping down on that. So we're going to let this go for a little while. Now I'm thinking I'm probably going to get it up to about 110, somewhere in that general area. And then I'll bring over the grill grates and then we'll sear it off. So we've got that one going. Let's get the other one going. In this container, I have the tray chili one that we talked about earlier. Pro tip, I'm all about adding value. See, I got some saran wrap on here. When you use like a marinade or something that will probably stain and just be a pain in the butt to clean, I always put saran wrap so that I don't have to worry about my lids. And I just put that on there quick. That way you can give it a shake if you want to, or if you just happen to be moving a little too quick, and all of a sudden you got your lid is just covered in a red sauce that you know is gonna stain right away. On this guy, we did this last night. I just threw it in here, filled up the container, took a fork and jammed it on both sides. I did that again in the morning, and I've turned this over a couple times. Now, it's not gonna get any more flavor. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna dry off the outside so that when I go to sear it later, it'll be a better sear. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna have some air movement over here for the next little while, but that'll just dry it off a little bit so that hopefully we'll get a little bit of a better sear. It's nice and thick. I do like using this for fajitas. I've been using it for a little while. Put this guy on, join the party. And I didn't leave room for it, so we'll move this one over, move this one back, and we'll move this guy right in front. And again, we'll bunch this up a little bit. And since I'm here, I'm gonna just throw a probe in here real quick on the one that's smaller, just so I can have an idea of where the temperature is. If you overcook your fajitas, you're not gonna be happy. I'll bring you back in a little bit. So it's already been about maybe 20 minutes. The beef is up to about 80 degrees right now, so we can get our onions started. Now, the one thing about fajitas for me is I don't really like peppers. So traditionally they have peppers in them. If you like peppers, make them. I'm weird, I don't like peppers. I like them raw, just not really cooked. But I do like lots of onions, so we're gonna try not to throw it all on the ground. And we've got a neutral oil, high temp oil. We're gonna throw these on now. Maybe they'll suck up a little bit of those smoke. Probably not, but we'll get them started. And we'll put a little bit of oil on here. Try and be as graceful as possible with our hands. I forgot to bring out a plate. And as you can hear, they're already sizzling. Put a little bit more oil there. And we'll keep stirring this around, get our onions nice and sauteed up while our beef is coming up to temperature. Bring it back in a bit. Now the one thing you want to do when you're sauteing up some onions, put a little salt on there. That just helps draw out some of that moisture. This is just Diamond Crystal kosher salt. And we are going to move this top rack out of the way in a little bit. And that'll just make it easier to gain access. But because we're only at 250 and we don't have direct contact underneath from our fire yet, this temperature really isn't too bad. Very manageable. So these are not going to overcook in the meantime. Let's see how we're doing temp-wise here. 113.3 in our thickest spot. Obviously it's going to be a little bit more on the thinner. We're going to pull our small one off here and let that rest. Get an idea where we're at here. 96. So we've got a little bit of time on that one. I'll bring it back a little bit. Let's have a look at our other piece. Where's our thermometer? 112. Perfect. Pull that guy off. Lay that right on top. All I'm going to do is I'm going to set this guy aside. Now we've got full access. The other thing we'll do, so pull this guy up and we will open up our door. All right, so these guys are nice and soft. We want to get some color on them. So we'll spread them out nice and thin. Dial this guy up to about 375. A little bit more oil. And we'll let this guy come up temperature. Let these rest for a few minutes, and then we'll get this wrapped up. Just been a few minutes. Our onions have got some lovely color on them. We're gonna push those all back. And now what we're gonna do is we will shift sides. Now these will be hot enough over here to keep them warm and cook a little bit more. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat up our grill grate so that we can get searing our steak. And we will turn this guy up to 500 will be just perfect. The Yoder's saying 580, the perfect temp to get our fajitas nice and seared. Hear the sizzling from the onions. Let's finish these guys off. Let's get our meat off. Looking delicious. Got a little char on that one side while I was taking some pictures. So our flap steak is looking delicious. You can see we've got a nice little char on both sides. Char's flavor, my friends. And then we got this big guy right there that got a little extra charred on there. I'm not gonna be mad about that whatsoever. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let these guys rest just for 5 minutes or so. See how this guy looks? I was just trying to soap up some oil before I warmed up my shells. Can't wait to dig in. Let's get our onions off here. Now, I like some crispy onions. You do you. These are probably just a little too far. I'm not gonna be unhappy about it because char's flavor. Real quick, tortilla shells. Buy the ones that are in the grocery aisle that are cold and have to be kept cold. They are so much better than just the ones you see that are warm near the bread. Makes a big difference in the outcome. They are a little bit more expensive. Actually, I was going to make my own for this video and did not. We will do that again sometime soon. Let's look at this meat while we're waiting for that to warm up. So we got both pieces here. Juicy goodness. Now this smaller guy is the one that we just seasoned up, and this guy is the one that was marinated, cutting that. And remember, look at your meat. You can see your grains are going this way. So we are going to cut this in half. So we got some strips. This one kind of goes on an angle, so we'll cut this one in half. All right, and then what we'll do, the lighting is terrible right now, but it is pink all through the center there. This one went a little bit past. Still pink. It'll bloom out in a sec here, but this is the worst time of day to be trying to film this stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut On a bias here, some fairly thin slices. I like them quite thin, and they just kind of pull apart in your mouth. I mean, you can see just how juicy that is. That'll be enough out of that one, and let me cut some of this one too. Flip this side around so I can get the bigger one. And you can just see the juices pouring out of that. That one definitely got a little bit more cooked than I would like. Let's see where we're at here. We're almost there. You know what? Well, we're waiting for that to warm up. Nice and juicy. Look at that. Delicious. That marinade, I friggin' love. It is so good. There's a tiny bit of heat coming through at the end of it, but not too bad. Let's put this guy together. Now, the only crisis I had was that while I'm out here working away on this, my wife decided to have a salad and use the rest of my cheddar cheese. I mean, I don't like peppers, but I do like some cheese on my fajitas. Now, in her defense, she did offer to run to the store, and I'm like, oh, I don't have time for that. But I'm out here making fajitas, and she goes inside and makes herself a salad. More for me. So this is going to be the blandest fajita ever because I'm not going to have cheese on it. It's much better with cheese. Let's slice up a little bit more of this guy. And you know what? I'm hungry. Forget it. This is the one that was marinated. You can see now it's bloomed all out. If you've got time, use one of these marinades. My favorite marinade. You would think that maybe going overnight was too much for them. It's not, especially on a big piece of flap steak like that. And look, comes apart super easy, nice and tender. If you don't have the time, that stuff works well. And it's got just a tiny bit of heat in it, not too much. Man, I get so excited when it comes to fajitas. I eat this so often. I lost my train of thought. These things are so good, I need to finish this one. While I'm doing that, let's see who won last week. It's contest time once again. What have we got going on? So, this is for the Goldie's Ribs video. Hashtags were Goldie's, hashtags Dartagan Foods. And let's see, 14. 22 comments using the hashtags. And let's see what we got. Al Muntico? Munico. Al Munico. No comment. Boo! But you did have the hashtags, so you will win a $25 gift card to bbq.com. I know that you're not a Patreon member, so we can't double that today, but you did win yourself 25 bucks. Let's get back to the video. Now that I'm done that, before I share my final thoughts, let's talk about this week's contest. So, as a reminder, all you have to do is you have to be subscribed to the channel, you have to like this video, and you have to comment with 2 hashtags. So we'll do hashtag fajitas and we'll do hashtags Kettleman's Grill. I'll put them up on the screen. Use those hashtags, comment, be subscribed, liked, and you'll be entered into our contest to win $25 gift card from @bbq.com. And remember, if you're a Patreon member, even at the $5 level, you will win a $50 gift card. I'll double it. This is a Tuesday video. I will do the drawing on the next Tuesday video, right? We're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays videos starting now. So that'll give you a week to comment and be entered into the contest. Now, to talk about these fajitas, I can't say enough good things about them. I have these fajitas many times a month. I absolutely love them. This is the first time I've actually reverse seared them. Got a little bit of smoke in them. You can taste that extra smoke. It does add a layer of flavor to it that takes them next level. If you don't have time for that, you can just grill these up under some direct heat and knock them out. Now the one thing you want to be careful with, if you try and use this flap steak, it is quite a bit thicker than skirt, so you just can't do it 2-3 minutes aside. You got to go a little further, and you might want to put it off to the side and get some heat into it so you don't end up with a raw inside and a burn outside. You do you, however you like it. Try out these seasonings. I highly recommend them if you like fajitas at all. I don't think they're going to disappoint. I just put another shell on so I can have some of this, but let me tell you, even just a normal seasoning, quite good. Although if you got the time to marinate it, I highly recommend that. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.